Joining me now is the bodyguard, Austin Green, who picked up a huge win at NFC 149, winning the heavyweight title in the third round via triangle choke over Cameron Graham. Austin, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm fantastic. How does that sound? The new champ of the NFC promotion? That's got to be pretty exciting.
Oh yeah, it's definitely it's got a nice ring to it.
No doubt. Now, this was in Atlanta, Georgia. I see by the pictures and everything that the crowd looked like to be really enjoying themselves and great night of fights. Looking back on your performance now, going into the third round, how happy are you all in all with what you did in there, what you went in there and did?
I'm happy that I got the win. There's some stuff when I went back and rewatched the fight, like I realized that I could have done a lot better. And there's some stuff I saw for myself that I need to definitely tighten up in the gym, which is actually what here going forward. I'm gonna start tightening up those things that I saw that I needed to work on.
Are you able to divulge what some of that stuff is?
I mean, the announcers, they kind of pointed it out. Like when I was striking, I had my chin up too high and I was just kind of leaving my chin up in the air. And then my coaches, they said I got to work on keeping my hands up more when I get tired. Because once I started to get a little tired, the hands kind of drop a little bit. Technique gets a little sloppy. So just work on tightening up the technical issues and stuff like that when I start to get tired.
Gotcha. Now, going into this fight with Cameron, he has quite a few fights himself as a professional. What was the game plan on your end?
The game plan, honestly, because since most of my recent fights have been against a lot of wrestlers, it's my game plan has mostly been defend the takedowns and try to keep it standing. And then with this one, I actually wanted to test my striking a little bit, maybe even work some of my ground game, which I got a chance to kind of play around on the ground a little bit this fight, and then actually test my striking against someone who is considered a striker.
All right. So for anyone that didn't get to see it, again, third round triangle choke, run me through how that presented itself, how you got this up.
Actually, honestly, it was funny because the day before I was talking to one of my coaches and we were just I was kind of messing around with him. I was like, well, I have never been taken down in any of my fights, but I was like, if I just so happen to get on my back, my first thing I'm going to go for, I'm throwing up a triangle. And he was like, no, no, you're not. No, you're not. You're too big for throwing up triangles. I was like, if I get taken down, I'm throwing up a triangle. He was like, all right, I'll bet you a steak dinner. If you finish with a triangle, I got you a steak dinner. And so once he had taken me down, he would have me in side control, and I managed to recompose my guard. And at that point, my go-to, once I get in the guard, I always at least attempt to try to throw up a triangle real quick because most people never expect it. Coming from a heavyweight, it's most people never expect it. And I figured third round, we're both tired. That's the last thing that he's going to be thinking about. So it was just an instinct just from doing jiu-jitsu just to shoot that triangle up. And luckily I was able to get it and get the tap.
Have you cashed in on that steak dinner yet?
Not yet, but I will be probably here in the next week or so.
Okay, where are you going to go?
That's a good question. Our gym is actually right next to a Texas Roadhouse, so it's kind of hard to not go there after training because we smell the steaks every day while we're in there training. So it's like, that'll probably be where I go.
Okay. Yeah, that sounds like a plan. That's probably what I would do as well. As far as, this particular fight, going into the second and third round, what did your team tell you? Did they feel like, you secured the first and the second round, like going into the third, like this was your fight to lose?
Yeah, they told me so after the first round, they told me, I won that round. After the second round, out in my head, I was kind of iffy on whether or not I won that second round. But, my coaches were telling me, like, I did enough. I won the second round. I finished on top. So in my head, I was just like, okay, if I can just get through this third round, I got the fight secured. And I always want to go out to look. I want to win every round. It's like I always want to get the finish. I don't like kind of leaving anything in the tanks. A lot of my fights are always high paced because I just like to go out there and try to push the finish and push the pace.
Is this your first MMA title?
Yes, first official one.
All right. What is that feeling like, man? Having that gold? I mean, I know this has been something that you've been means a lot to you. I've seen other interviews that you've done, and you really want to get to that highest of levels. So this has got to be a special moment for you.
Oh, it was super because I always had a goal. I wanted to win a belt. I grew up, always wanting to be a champion. I feel like the champions are the ones that get the most, they get the recognition. Though those are the ones that get the calls up to the big shows. When you got that belt and you got a champion, what I'm saying, you got a championship under your name, it really puts a star next to your name that, okay, he's the real deal. And then it also just signifies that, I'm for real and I'm someone to be on the lookout for.
Well, you're 4-0 now as a professional mixed martial artist. Tell me a little bit about how you got into combat sports and just your team, your coaches, training partners, the guys you have around you day to day.
I got into it a while, like it was a couple years ago. I was playing arena football, and I had a guy. He recommended it to me that I should give it a try. And I've always thought about it growing up. I always thought about, I always gave it the thought of being a fighter, but I never actually knew where to go and like where to train and how to even get started. And he kind of mentioned this gym when I was living in Kentucky, and I went up there, started training, and then eventually, I started fighting with that gym, had a really good record under that gym. And then I ended up moving back to Georgia, and that's when I got with the team I'm with now. And they really just molded me and turned me into a complete fighter.
And so in Georgia now, this fight where you just won the title was in Atlanta. How far do you live from where the venue was? Was it a quick trip for you?
Yeah, it was only like a 30-minute drive for me. So it was a hometown advantage for me.
A lot of fans in the arena supporting you?
Yeah, it was loud in there. It was loud.
All right. You mentioned playing arena football, so that piques my interest. I'm a huge football fan. What position did you play?
In arena, I played defensive end, offensive tackle, tight end, and fullback. So
Okay.
I was all in arena.
Okay, very good. Who's your pro team? Do you have a team you follow, and is there a player that you maybe like the most? It's like your favorite.
Well, I did. Well, back when Todd Gurley was playing, he was my favorite player. So wherever he went, that's where I went. But also now, like I'm an Aaron Donald fan because I play defensive end. He's one of the most dominant defensive linemen in the game. So I always was an Aaron Donald fan. So I guess you could say I'm a Rams.
Okay. All right. You hear a lot of people compare him now to like the new breed of like a Lawrence Taylor. Back when he was playing, he was the greatest defensive player. A lot of people still think he's the greatest defensive player ever. Do you think Aaron Donald, by the time he's done, will be on par with LT?
I believe so because right now he's a force to be like. There's nobody that can really stop him right now. He just does whatever he wants to do on the field, and he's a monster.
He is a beast. Give me your way too early Super Bowl prediction. Who's going to be in the big game? Who wins it this year?
Ooh, that's tough. I haven't. Yeah. I want to say the Rams might be in there, but I haven't really watched too much football like recently. So I've been training for these fights. I haven't really got a chance to look at too much football.
Well, the season just started, so you got plenty of time to catch up and watch some games if you wanted to. As far as, moving forward now for you, Austin, again, as I said earlier, you're 4-0 now as a pro. What are you hoping are the next steps for you in your career?
I'm hoping to get a call up to the UFC or even Bellator, a big promotion, because I'm at a good spot 4-0 as a heavyweight. It's not many heavyweights in the promotion, so everyone's always looking for heavyweight. So I'm hoping to get a call up. Just waiting on my management, I've let them know that I'm looking to fight. I'm looking to get I want to stay active, at least get one more in by then before the year's over with. So I'm hoping that's within the UFC or a big promotion. But
what do you typically walk around at? Or is it easy for you to make 265 or are you lighter than that?
I had to actually cut weight to get 260. I had to cut about 20 pounds for this last fight. So right now I'm walking around about 285. I want to get to probably lose about 10 more pounds, maybe 275. And then that'll between like 270 to 275 is where I feel comfortable, walking around at. Maybe cut a couple pounds to make the heavyweight limit.
Okay. How tall are you?
6'5".
Okay, I see you're a big guy. That would make sense then. So
yeah.
There's no discussions on trying to move down to 205. You're a heavyweight through and through.
I'm a heavyweight all the way through. 205 is nah.
Yeah. Okay. Fair enough, man. When you look at the heavyweights in the UFC and in Bellator right now, how do you think you stack up? Like, how many fights away do you feel like you are before, if you get that call, you'd be a legitimate force in either of those promotions?
Bellator, I really haven't checked out their heavyweight division too much. I know there's one fight with Jake Hager I want to get, because we're both professional wrestlers, both wrestle for AEW. So I would, what I'm saying, that'd be a good fight that I'd like to get. We're around the same record wise. But the UFC, I figured there's a couple of guys that have just gotten in recently that are sitting around about the same record as I am. I feel like I can really compete with those guys. I feel like I can really give those guys a good show and eventually just move on up the rankings.
All right. How do you think John Jones is going to do when he makes his heavyweight debut for the UFC?
It's definitely different. He's gonna feel, because heavyweights, we hit a lot harder than those 205ers. And I know he trains with a lot of heavyweights, but it's definitely a it's a big difference when you fight somebody training with somebody that walks around at 230, as opposed to fighting somebody who's walking around at 260, 265. Like, that power it's different.
Is there a heavyweight on planet Earth right now, this moment, that you feel like can beat Francis Ngannou, or do you feel like he's the top dog as of this moment?
I feel like he can be beat. I feel like he is beatable. He's been beaten before. His power is just what separates him from, like, because he has that ability to just touch you and you go to sleep. So when you got like something like that in your back pocket, it really changes the dynamic. Like, you really have to pick him apart, like almost the way Stipe did their very first fight. You got to withstand that fire and then eventually drag him into deep waters.
Now, are you doing anything else other than just training MMA full time right now? Do you have a job that you have to report to pay the bills, or are you just all in for MMA?
I'm pretty much all in for MMA, but also on the side, I do security work and like professional bodyguard work, which is how I got the nickname bodyguard, because I do like bodyguard work on the side for rappers and entertainers and stuff like that. So that's what keeps the lights on when I'm not fighting.
All right. What's the craziest situation you've experienced as a bodyguard? I'm sure there's one or two that had you maybe like a little nervous, or like, I'm not sure what's going to happen here.
There's one that happened about a year ago. I can't really speak much on it right now because it was something serious that happened. But most of the time you just get like crazy fans, or sometimes you get like the stalker fans that'll try to sit outside your hotel while they're after a show, or they'll try to follow behind the tour bus or the vehicle, and you got to stop and address that fan. But other than that, nothing too wild. It's just you get these fans every now and then.
You haven't had any like drunk people that show up that try to like square off on you or anything?
Nah, not yet. No.
That would be a bad move on their end.
Yeah, I try to just be as calm and de-escalate the situation as easy as possible.
Once you do take that next step in your career and you do sign with the UFC or Bellator, are you going to continue to do the security work, or will you just stop that while you're pursuing your MMA career and then maybe go back to it when your career is over?
I might continue to do it a little, depending on who the client is. And like, if I've been working with them for a long time already, I might still continue to do that, just because it's also something I enjoy doing, being able to travel and just like be able to travel with the clients, and I still enjoy it. So I won't do it as much as I do it now, but I'll still, if the price is right, I'll still continue to go out here and there.
Are you able to say any of the names of the artists that you do security work for?
Oh yeah, I've worked with Lil Baby. I've worked with Moneybagg Yo. I've worked with a lot of the female client, like rappers that are coming up now. I don't know if you know anybody like recently. I've worked with Ari, light skin Keisha, people like that.
Okay, so things are going well for you, man. The MMA career is flourishing, and you got a great job as well. You did mention earlier, Austin, that you're hoping to jump back in before the year is over. If you don't get that call from a bigger promotion, do you want to defend your NFC title? Would that be the what makes the most sense?
Oh yeah, I've talked to the promoter. I told him I do want to. I mean, what I'm saying, I do want to be a fighting champion. I know a lot of champs they'll get the belt and then they won't defend for months and months. Now I want to stay active. I want to defend the title, and then even if I can't defend this title, if they don't have any shows, I do want to fight for other promotions, win their belts too. Just keep collecting different belts from different organizations. That's my goal right now, is UFC or collect titles from other organizations.
I love it, man. Well, your pro career is off to a great start. Again, congrats on winning the NFC heavyweight strap at NFC 149. Great talking to you for the first time. Before we do sign off, I want to give you the floor. Tell people where they can follow you on social media. And if you have anyone to thank, any sponsors, floor is yours.
You can follow me on Instagram at the bodyguard underscore AG. Same for Twitter. You know, I don't really be on there as much, but you can, it's the same for all my platforms. Heck, TikTok, I got a couple videos up on there. It's all the same at bodyguard underscore AG. I'd like to thank my Team Independent MMA and Fitness of Noonan. I got my sponsors, Macro Meals For You. They help get my meal plan to help get me my weight down for this fight. My other sponsors, Lux Jewelers, A&S Quick Keys. All of those are Atlanta-based local areas, and they've helped me out throughout my career. My agency, my sports agent, Iridium and Jason House, I'd like to thank them too. They've been helping me get where I need to be.